because of that, he saw it as, okay, well, now I owe you something. So he gave me the option of getting the golden ticket into Special Forces. So when I would get back from Iraq, I would return back with the unit, stay here, finish out the deployment, go back to the unit, and they will send me directly to Special Forces with the Sergeant Major and the Colonel's recommendation, both of whom are tabbed Special Forces officers. So their recommendation is going to come very, very highly. With those and a combat deployment, there is a good fucking chance that I would actually beat the 90% drop rate Special Forces training. So I knew that, they knew that was like, they were giving me everything that I had signed up for, the actual golden ticket. Or they said, we'll give you the golden parachute. We'll give you 50% disability and you can get out right now. And we'll send you home and you won't even finish the deployment. We'll send you home right now. And I said, give me the golden parachute out. Fuck you guys. I don't trust you. I don't trust you at all. They're similar, you know? So that's, I wanted to try to bridge that gap so that we're not just leaving grunge in the past, because it's still very, very relevant.
Yeah, I mean, it speaks to today. I mean, it really, so I don't want to get ahead of ourselves with the story, but I mean, the things that are happening in the U.S. today are like explicitly grunge, you know what I mean? It's like real life grunge it's coming true, it's coming to life.
For real.
But I guess the part of your story is that you were a soldier, right? And can you tell us a little bit? And it helps you with your PTSD, is what I read.
Sure. Yes. Well, it kind of created the PTSD.
Yeah.
So I was in the Army, the Airborne Infantry.
But I mean, your music helps you with the PTSD.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
No.
Well, the Army did help, but that's an interesting way to put it.
Oh, sorry. Yeah.
Never heard that one. But yeah, no, it's all good. But yes, I was in the Army, the Airborne Infantry. I was in Iraq from 2006 to 2007. I had lots of different kinds of combat experiences, lots of detainee operations, cordon searches, high-value target operations. We're taking people down and we're killing them if we have to. And the main goal of the infantry is to close with and destroy the enemy. So when they send us there, most of the time, we're not going in to shake hands. When we do go in and do that, it's for a reason. Like, they don't just send us in to negotiate just for shits and giggles, just because. They'll send a PA for that, public affairs. But if it's something that is tactically consequential to intelligence, consequential to a mission, it's mission critical human intelligence gathering, they're going to send us along with a few other MOSs to make sure that happens. So that's the kind of stuff. It's the real shit. We're going into an AO, we're staying out in a patrol base in, unprotected except for ourselves, pulling our own security, and going around in that AO, walking around all over the place, driving around all over the place, and trying to find the enemy.
Which song would you like to talk about first? Do you want to do the Shadow song, or?
Sure, whichever one. Yeah.
That's one of the first earlier songs you wrote, is that correct?
Right, yeah. The riff and the lyrics, the riffs and the lyrics were something that I wrote very early on in the quarantine. It was one of the first songs that I wrote that was specifically for the quarantine. It was after that song that I kind of realized, shit, I may have something here.
Forever remember, ever after should we wait, inside the emptiness.
like, this is a little bit more than just, whining on the mic. This is, because I sat down and I wanted to write something about the experience of PTSD, but I also wanted to connect it to people's mentalities, so that they could get the sense of impending doom that was my constant existence. Like, it didn't matter how good my life was going on, how safe I was. I still felt like I was always waiting for the next shoe to drop, and the next one was going to be a nuclear bomb. I never shook the feeling of I could die tomorrow, and it's probably going to happen. That it's two very different things. I could die. Everybody could die tomorrow. Yeah, sure. Walk out in the street and, we accept that. But if you have some kind of impending sense of doom that it's going to happen, then that's you're operating from an entirely different motivation. So I wanted to bring that feeling into the song, and also connect it to the larger sense of impending doom, like you're watching a culture become and turn into something evil. That is also the feeling that I wanted to give, because those feelings to me are correlated. They're absolutely correlated. And eventually what it became is sort of a description of dealing with the internal dark forces in your life, and not letting them consume you.
So the shadow is the PTSDs, basically.
It's where it comes from. The shadow is more describing how you see the world, because the world looks like your enemy from that point. The world looks like it's trying to trample you, and it's going to crush you in every single way that it possibly can. So what do you do when you're faced against an impossible enemy? That's the feeling.
And it's every waking moment. There's no rest from that kind of feeling.
No rest. If you don't face and confront it, PTSD, people who live with PTSD should know this feeling fucking immediately, because they live with it and deal with it every single day. And it's always going on in the back of their head. It's playing like an app in the background. It's just always there, even though you may not be looking at that tab or that app. It's still going. And that's what it feels like. That's what PTSD really feels like. So when it comes to the front, then you're having, then it's an attack or something. It's a panic attack. But truly, you're always angry. You're always scared. You're always afraid. You're always wanting to lash out, wanting to fix something, wanting to do whatever you possibly can. And then you're driven by desperation. You're not driven by logic anymore. You're driven by desperation. And when that takes over your decision making, that's when the shadow truly kicks in. That's when it really becomes real.
Ever after should we wait and shine the emptiness and hate your saving grace? Feel the shadows creeping, no time to waste. Still trying to run away, but the fear keeps race, yeah.
And so that comes to, as music is therapy. For me, it's complete therapy. I mean, I imagine for a situation like this, it means a lot, doesn't it, to write this stuff down and play these songs?
Absolutely. Yeah. I mean, it's everything to me. To be able to give people just a little window into my mind is the usual massive blessing that music is. That's usually the best thing that we hope for, is that, someone can get at least a small idea of what is going on inside my mind. We can't run away from the conflict when we have to face it. And I had a long history in the military of facing things that I was afraid of, but I had to go and kick open that door. Didn't matter if I didn't know it was on the other side of the door. I had to kick it open regardless. And then I had to step in, walk through that door frame, and accept whatever was going on the other side of that, door. And just that was something that I did mechanically. I did it without thinking about it or any of the philosophy about it. Not at the time. That wasn't anything that was going on in my mind. But once I was back in the civilian world and I'm trying to convince myself, can I do this? Am I good enough to do music for the rest of my life? Is this something that I should choose for myself? And it was the things that made me realize I have a lot more power than I really realized, that made me push forward and to create these things, because it's not just for me anymore. My part in its helping me was in its creation. Now it's for everybody else. So to preface this, I had been moved to the TOC and the Tactical Operations Center, the headquarters platoon for my company. And when I was there, the sergeant major for my battalion came by and saw me and knew who I was. And we had a bunch of previous run-ins together, missions that we had done together. I had applied to be part of his security force earlier on in garrison. So he knew me, and he had also known the missions that I had done since I had been in Iraq, because this was month 8 or 9 out of 11. And he brought me in to work directly for him. And there was a lot of investigations that I was doing, running messages back and forth, and then telling him everything that I saw and everything that I heard and everything that was going on in these particular interactions that I would have with these people. And then he sent me on the final mission that I did, was to go pull security and watch this guy who was negotiating, who I was told was negotiating between camps. And that was a gross oversimplification for what was going on. What was actually happening was the guy was a triple agent. He was playing the insurgency, he was playing the local nationals, and he was playing us. And I eventually found out that he had direct contact with the sergeant major and had set up to have someone pull security on him while he was going to call in a vehicle-borne IED to blow up everything. But the sergeant major was willing to accept those losses because it meant gaining intel on the other people who the triple agent was talking to. And he saw my demise in this process as part of collateral damage. And so when I didn't die when he was expecting me to, and I instead interrogated the guy and found out all of the background information to the mission that I was actually put on instead of the mission that I was told I was going on. And when I brought all of that info and intelligence and everything back to him, and I threw it in his face and I said, "Fuck you, Sergeant Major. What the hell did you send me to go do? I want to talk with you and the Colonel because we need to have some accountability to this shit right now." That's when shit changed. Colonel didn't know jack shit about what the Sergeant Major was doing, and that's why it had the reaction that it did, was because the Colonel had no idea about what was going on.
A future with no love and terror with no end. That's what they say to me today with a dirty fucking smile. When I pulled myself out of fear, been crawling for miles.
So that kind of pushes us into the second song is Nemesis, correct?
Yeah.
Nemesis, the friend thing. Now that I'm thinking about your story, is that kind of tie into back what happened in the military?
I tried to make a conglomeration of all of the bullies who I had known. All of the, it wasn't just about one specific person. It was sort of making a steel man, conglomeration of all of the psychos, narcissists, histrionic, bipolar, just evil meaning people in my life. And most of them, 99% of them, did not think that they were doing anything bad whatsoever. Not even at all.
To another culture. Before I could ever say I told you so, put truth in a cold shoulder. See what he always never had were friends who wouldn't stab his back. And all the while a mother who could not stop smoking crack. And a father never gave two shits and a can of beer. Who beat him like a stepchild, but the bloodline is clear. Nobody ever knew it, and no one ever guessed that this one's lost and lonely kid who grew up to be
enemy is not just black and white. And that comes from the experiences in Iraq, where the enemy was ill-defined. The person standing next to you with a large man dress on and a turban or a wrap or whatever is a civilian. The second that he picks up a weapon, he is still a civilian. When he points it at you, then he's a combatant. And that difference is about 1 to 2 seconds. And you have to be able to make the choice that is going to save your life and the people's life around you in that time. And so under those kind of conditions, friend and enemy becomes relative concepts in that way. So in Nemesis, I was trying to make the steel man for those people who don't look at themselves at all and constantly bully and put down people in all of the different ways that they can, to do it out of a sense of jealousy is really what I found where it comes from. It's a sense of jealousy, but it's layered and packed under all of these different things. So when you psychologically break down the personality profile of that person, then it becomes very, very obvious about what they are. And once I did that and had that all in my mind, then the lyrics just came right out. And I'm like, oh man, I can just use this example from that experience, this example from that experience. And it makes it, they all run together. Because to me, all of those bullies are relatively the same.
Yeah. Because I was thinking about the song. There's a line in there with something about we served under the same bars together. That's kind of a military reference too, right? This kind of thing?
That is. So, that's a military reference, but that's also a reference to being under the bar. Like you've drank so much you're under the bar.
Written in the stars, I still hate him, and I wish that he would die violently. I'd hope he smoked too much and give up silently. Abandon his life so worthless because he didn't rise above. He gave into self-pity or depression like a glove. And all the anger towards you was
What does it mean to have PTSD, basically? The things people can't see.
Yeah, great question. What PTSD is really about is your nervous system gets essentially locked into a position or is randomly taken by an increase in adrenaline, dopamine, serotonin, or cortisol. You get just filled with one or the other, or a combination. But it's unprompted. So this is what you get, what you eat, and from the reactions to it vary based on the person. This is how you get the 1,000-yard stare. That's someone checking out. That's their nervous system going through the fucking roof and them checking out and just staring, because that's all that they can do. They just have to just detach. So there's fight, flight, or detach. And when you're constantly brought into that nervous system state, it has physical ramifications over the long term, as well as the immediate shit where it just looks like you get, agitated with seemingly easily or, unprompted. Classic thing with PTSD is that you'll see them and they'll freak out at loud noises. But that's not really what's going on. That's just an observation on some people. What is really happening there is their threat assessment is hyperactive, and it creates a hypervigilance to threats. So if something is a loud noise, even though they may know that it's not, right next to them, their reaction to it will be as though it was. And their body will feel it as if, oh my God, I almost just died right there. And that real feeling has an effect on your nervous system, not just, not just your mentality, but your nervous system as a whole, and the long-term effects, because the stress, the body keeps track of it all the time. So it's a nervous system disorder not just I'm afraid of shit, which is
Yeah,
a lot of times was the social construct around it. Yeah.
Yeah, that's a good distinction too, because a lot with the mental illness or depression or something like that, or panic attacks,
Right.
they think it's like a mind thing, but the point that you're saying too is is a physical reaction to what's happening with your body, right? It's like this, it's a physical thing. But is there still a stigma on the PTSD? Because I hear a lot more in the media now. It seems to be something people are more aware of, or not really.
Well, it's interesting because I think there's an awareness, but unfortunately, there is also misnomers about it. I hear this joke all the time, and I hear it from people who mean well. I hear it from advocates. I've even heard it from therapists where they go, "Oh, that thing scared the shit out of me. I'm going to have PTSD now." Like that shit
Oh
gave me
yeah,
PTSD. I hear
yeah,
that joke all the time. All the
yeah,
time. And sometimes it's funny. Sometimes when I remember that the joke that they're making is made from a place of ignorance, that it's coming from a place where they're not realizing that it's an uncontrollable nervous system disorder that happens over a long period of time of trauma that is put onto someone, not just they're afraid of something. That's like saying, cancer isn't going to be that bad because at least I'm going to lose weight. Like that's the same kind of fucking dumbass
yeah,
shit that like
yeah,
that joke is highly inappropriate to make, especially to someone who has cancer. So when you're talking to someone who has PTSD and you're saying, "Oh God, that shit scared the shit out of me," like it's honestly a disservice. So something that I started to realize was that the information that people have on PTSD is not correct. And it was like that with the VA for a very long time. The VA didn't understand what PTSD was. And I would say that it's only been the last 10 years or so in which the data and the science and the testing and the therapy has all finally aligned to all become congruent with each other, where they're all now understanding and listening to each other instead of, well, we don't know what this PTSD thing is, and we don't know how people are reacting. We're very scared of these combat vets coming back and fucking everybody up because they're the only ones who know how to destroy an entire country. They just did it. So if they get too pissed off, what are we going to do? Like that was the stigma that we're really operating under. And that stigma still exists.
I could just keep talking with this, but I'll get to your third song, which
Mhm.
is, it kind of tones things down. It's more of an acoustic bit. The silver chair, is it called?
Skeleton chair.
No, skeleton chair.
Yes.
Tell us a little bit about the skeleton chair.
So skeleton chair is essentially about, on a really, really surface level, it's showing up for something expecting that it's going to be really awesome. And then it's the worst thing, the most torturous, painful thing you've ever experienced in your life. And you're like, "Oh my God, I immediately regret this decision." You know, like that quote from Anchorman. So that's kind of the situation. But where this really comes from was after I had done a whole bunch of exposure therapy for a particularly traumatic mission that I did with my platoon, and we had Blackwater and Special Forces attachments into this mission, and it was setting off an ambush. And it was one of those experiences where we got to do our jobs as infantrymen. We got to close with and destroy the enemy. Everybody did. And it was one of those things where you go from the highest high that you've ever been to the lowest low. Blackwater called in A-10s and blew up everybody, including the civilians. And then they all brought all of their dead through it, and it just got washed under the rug.
How old were you at this time?
I was
You're a young
20
kid, right?
years. I was 20 years old at this time.
20 years old, yeah.
And you know, this was everything that happened in Iraq happened before my first legal drink. So there was a lot of, and I didn't talk about this mission for years. I didn't even talk about it with the people who I did the mission with because we all knew it was that horrific. We all saw the bodies that came after. We all knew what was going on. And we all just had to shut the fuck up about it because of operational security. But it was truly just awful, just horrifying in every single way. And so to go from that highest of high of, man, war is the greatest thing in the world. Like, we truly did something great and helped people, to, oh my God, we just destroyed everybody who we were trying to help. What the fuck did we just do? What did we just allow and bring into our AO? And that was the basis for that, the feeling that I had to understand and accept and rationalize and come to be okay with through the therapy. And after all of that therapy, that's when I wrote Skeleton Chair, because I wanted to give people that sense of falling in love with war sounds like it's a good idea. And a lot of our culture is based around, the glorification of violence. But it's a very true statement that everybody wants to do infantry shit until it's time to really do infantry shit. Then nobody wants to be a fucking infantry. So it's really, really important for people to understand that aspect about war. And it can only really come from someone who's truly experienced it. But this message is something that is sorely lacking throughout most of our American expression. And so I felt like it was not just a need for myself, but for everyone to be able to say that on any kind of platform is, to me, absolutely necessary, but also kind of novel, because we don't get to talk about this shit. Like, it took me 20 years to accept this, 20 fucking years to sit with this, to deal with all the therapy and just wait about it on my own. And I know that there are generations and generations and generations of people behind me who are doing the exact same thing. And they will probably continue to do it until they die. And then the next generation of veterans will do and repeat the cycle over and over again. Now we have a chance to stop the cycle.
Yeah, you have a strong voice. You're an advocate for this stuff. You have a lot going on, and I appreciate that. Is there a little bit of animosity with people like me that have lived kind of a cushy life and think they know what's going on and didn't go overseas kind of?
No, that's ridiculous. Anyone who looks down on the people who there are because we're doing it for you. We're serving for you. And it's not because we want you to fucking acknowledge it. You don't even need to acknowledge it. So it's very, very important to realize that service in the military is just that. It is service. And it's about serving the people of the United States in a capacity that helps them. That's why you're doing it. So there is no animosity to the civilian world. There's a whole lot of love. And there's a whole lot of care, because we're trying to defend the rights that all of us enjoy. And we still take an oath, regardless of if we're out of service. The oath still applies. Every veteran takes it as if it still applies, regardless of whether they are in service or not. Once you take that oath to the Constitution, to uphold and defend it, you're doing that as part of your life now.